One in five suffer.
Erase the stigma.
Brain difference is not a crime.
Mental health isn't just your problem.
It's our problem.
And now, Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave.
Welcome to Mental Health Mondays.
We are Marla and Dave. I'm Marla.
That's right, and I'm Dave, and we have a great show planned for you guys today. Super great guy. He's a friend of ours. You've heard him before. You've all got your boogie on to his music. But before we talk any more about that, I'm going to remind you to text the word GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 818-698-1021 and support our $1 Today Keeps the Stigma Away campaign. And so now here we go. Today we're excited to have the opportunity to speak with our friend Byron Chambers, otherwise professionally known as Mr. Talkbox. He's an American Christian hip-hop and R&B artist who plays contemporary gospel, contemporary R&B, and funk, you name it. He has more energy than the surface of the sun, trust me when I'm saying. And in addition to his own projects, My Testimony, the remix animated, My Time, and playlist, Mr. Talkbox has been featured on recordings by Toby Mac, Bruno Mars, Kendrick Lamar, T-Pain, Bootsy Collins. The list goes on. He is a funk master, and he has wisdom for us today. Don't move. We'll be right back.
When Dave and Marla get together, it's hot.
Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave and NAMI San Fernando Valley believe it doesn't take much to make life a little better for our neighbors, coworkers, friends, our family members, even our children who suffer with mental illness. When you support our $1 Today Keeps the Stigma Away campaign, you are doing your part to erase the stigma surrounding mental illness. For just $1 today, or $1 a day for 1 week, just $7, we can look forward to a future that does not include the unfortunate and uncomfortable stares, bullying, and the subsequent isolation that our loved ones who suffer with brain differences deal with. Text the word GIVE, that's G-I-V-E, to 818-698-1021 to donate. $1 today keeps the stigma away. Brought to you by Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave and NAMI San Fernando Valley.
I was so excited. I was talking my head off.
I know.
During the intro.
I just want to say welcome to the show, Byron. Mr. Talkbox in the house.
Indeed, man. What's going on?
That's hot. I'm gonna have to use that for a show entrance. Don't mess around.
I love it.
I'll steal your stuff. I'll just take it right off the shelf. So
I
listen,
love it.
I have to say this because this is super important, especially I have to honor our friends that have so many gifts and so much wisdom that are willing to come and sit and talk with us. And I have a unique position because I can still be a fan, but I get to know everyone through a social lens. And Dave has this incredible music connection. So when of course, I can't not say this, that I was stuck on 24 Karat Magic Gold for I think still. And I was like, what? And Dave was like, no, he's really deep. He doesn't. And so then I started listening. And then to be able to sit down and talk with you today, I just am honored that you would come and spend the time. You and your family are amazing. So thank you again for being here.
I'm honored as well. Thank y'all for having me. This is awesome. This is awesome.
Oh man! So I'm right off the bat, I'm gonna say this. People don't understand that when you go on a cruise with these amazing artists, these jazz cruises, these music cruises, you get to actually understand and hang out with the artists and kind of feel who they are a little bit better than just seeing them on stage. So every time, we've seen you on the cruise, gotten to know you, become good friends, man, like Marla said, that you set this tone for 24 Karat Magic. And it's just tell us how you got into actually using the Talkbox. First of all, and then what's the difference between a vocoder and a talkbox?
I'm glad you said that, because we definitely need to get into that, because people need to know the difference.
Yeah.
Well, first, I just want to say, man, thank y'all so much. I'm so excited to be here. As y'all know, most of the world knows that I'm the biggest Take Six fan of all time. I can prove that, but we won't get into that because we'll be here all night. But I'm honored to sit here and talk with you both, and it was great getting to know y'all on that cruise, man. It was so awesome, man. So, but the talk box it's obviously it's an incredible instrument in my mind, like at least. And the way I got onto 24 Karat Magic, I had been putting up these acapella videos on like YouTube everywhere, Facebook everywhere. They started going viral, and this was back. I started doing it in 2014, and when I started putting those videos up, more and more celebrities started reaching out, say, "Yo, let's collab," or "Oh, yo, man, I just want to be cool with you, man. Let's just talk," blah blah blah. And so you fast forward to 2016, where Bruno Mars's bass player, his name is Jamario, good friend of mine. He became a fan of mine through a song I did with Nathan East, a song called Daft Punk. Yeah. And so when he heard that song, he reached out to me. We just became homies, man. We started texting, and every so often, I would hit him up. He would hit me up and say, "Hey, what's going on? Yada, yada." And then one day in 2016, I believe it was in June of 2016, he texted me. It's like, "Bruno Mars wants to work with you on a record." And I was like, "Yo." Yeah, so I was like, "I'm in." And so he proceeded to give me his number. He gave me his number, and I called him up, and boom, we started immediately. Within 5 minutes, we started working on 24 Karat Magic.
Wow.
Yeah, because
that's what I like.
Yeah.
Get down to work. Let the music do the talking.
So much for musical foreplay. What?
Get right down to it. So you know what? And so what did that do for your career? Did that like get you? I mean, what kind of a boost was that for you?
It honestly, it really just got me more money, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
It just made me more money. Like my videos, even to this day, even Bruno, just for instance, Bruno, he told me that when I called him, he was like, "Man, I've been watching your videos for a year." He said, "Jamario, I've been watching videos for a year, man. I've been watching." He says, "Man, you're incredible with it, brother." And I was like, "Wow." And so it just kind of heightened what I was already doing. And the people that already knew who I was, they were like, when they hit play, they were like, "Oh, that's Mr. Talkbox." Like they knew. And so but 24, it's definitely gave me a lot of it stabilized my name a little bit more in the industry. You know what I'm saying? And to the mass public, it's still slowly coming around, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah,
because people don't look at credits anymore. If you're not a featured artist, they're not going to pay attention to. Most people think it's Bruno or it's a computer doing it.
Right.
Exactly.
And so they didn't know. And so it's been a blessing financially, but also industry-wise, I have a lot of more respect in the industry.
Right. It just adds to the cachet of the brand. I appreciate that. So now, true to the name of the show, Mental Health Mondays.
I was just about to jump right there.
A lot of people don't recognize, and we've talked about it before on the show, how you can really be working to get your career going and try to get stabilized, especially when you're an artist in an industry that's already eclectic. That's the first thing. And then already doing something that's different from what the mainstream of that particular eclectic piece of the industry is doing. You got to fight a lot harder to get your grind on, a lot more specific and intentional than a lot of other artists do. So, and that's a constant grind. Now, we've talked about what suddenly we get this thing, COVID-19 hits, the pandemic hits. What did that do for you and in your mental space?
Man, okay, now this is probably going to shock you and everybody that's listening, but the pandemic for me specifically, it was a blessing, and I'm going to tell you why. For me, I was already online doing videos. That was my bread and butter. And so next thing you know, I have all these celebrities calling me. You're like, hey, how do you do that bit? How do you produce this? And how do you do that? How do you do that? Because that became a moneymaker for me. So it actually was great. Now, mentally, I will say this though. Mentally, I started feeling that it's like I had to detox from being on the go and having to want to go on the road and to do something. It was very challenging to be able to to have to just stop and not push in that capacity. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that was very challenging. And then too, obviously, you know, I'm married. I have my wife. I have my kids were at home at the time. So all that time that we were together, we really found out that we actually or hated each other.
The relationship's intensified.
Right. It's like the Chambers times 2. Like this is the second version.
Yes. Oh my God.
Well, you know what, Byron, I want to back up just one quick second, because I think that it's also important. My question is that when we were talking about 24 karat, just the attention, the bigger platform, and how have you managed to protect your mental space, protect your mental space, and protect your family? Because we know what, you know, the vulture culture is when it comes to, you know, what people attaching or at least wanting to be associated with or affiliated with. So talk to me about that. How did you manage that?
Well, the first thing I did, Marla, I changed my number. And you know, Bruno told me that. He said, brother, you're gonna have to change your number, because here comes the vulture culture. Like it literally, it heightened. And then two, to be honest, like for me, when that song came out, there was this pressure. There was this pressure of
hold on. Before you get into the pressure, you gotta take a quick little break, and on the other side of the break, we're gonna get into the pressure. We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
It's time for the Mental Health Minute with Marla and Dave.
With all of the progress that has been made in the field of mental health, unfortunately, there is still a great deal of stigma surrounding mental health. Many times we don't talk about how we feel and try to suppress our negative thoughts and emotions. But this only leads to ineffective and even harmful ways of coping, such as turning to alcohol, drugs, emotional eating, or other unhealthy ways of dealing with symptoms, according to Dr. Judy Ho, PhD.
He goes on to say, seek professional support if you need, and know that it is normal to have periods of difficulty and stress where you might need to enlist the help of someone who specializes in this area.
So with the difficult times all of us have experienced lately, know that you are not alone and that the resulting symptoms are treatable. You can return to the quality of life that you will be satisfied with. This message is brought to you by Mental Health Mondays with Marla and
Dave.
David is a thinker. I never do anything without thinking about it first. Marla is a feeler.
I basically live my personality on my sleeve.
But when Marla and Dave get together, it's like a match dancing with a firecracker.
All right, so you were talking about the pressure.
We're talking about the pressure, and we're talking about the pressure that was going to happen in the next segment if you don't see my finger. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So you said you changed your, even if Bruno's suggestion was, hey man, you might want to change your number.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because that pressure of, the dynamic of, I'm a, most people know me as a gospel musician. I wasn't really, I'm in the mainstream world a little bit, but when that song came out, it really catapulted me into it. And then there was this different pressure. People were looking at me, expecting me to, spend a certain amount of money. I'll just say it like that.
To be flashy.
Yes, people wanted me, like, people were at me, like, to be a certain way, and to be flashy and to be just basically be who I'm not. And I'm a humble guy. I am a family man. I try to think about every decision I make. I love what y'all said in your segment about, I think about every decision. And the older I get, I think about every decision that I make. And I had to do that when that song came out. I literally, like people don't know this, I actually had to get a job. I had to get a job when Terror Magic came out. And you can imagine the people that knew me in my circle, and just the close people that knew me, they were like, you're on this incredible song, this the biggest song ever, and you having to get a job? Yes, because if you're in the music industry, y'all know how this goes. Royalties don't roll for a long time at times.
Sometimes the mailbox is not full of checks.
Yes, come on.
Yes, I call it mailbox money. Sometimes the mailbox, we need more Talkbox for the mailbox.
Yes.
To populate the mailbox.
Yeah. And so,
that adds to the pressure as well, especially people, I guess, if they come up and they notice you and they're like, hey man, what are you doing?
Yeah. So it was that pressure. And then what I had to do again, I had to center myself, I had to focus, and I had to say, you know what, this is not about what the people see on the outside. This is about protecting my family, making sure that we're good. And I, as a man, I'm going to work hard for my family. And I believe that God honored that. I didn't have to work a long time. I didn't have to work long, thank God.
Yeah.
You were willing.
Yeah. So it was the fact of, you're on this incredible song and you're having to get a job. And what people don't know too, I didn't write that song. Like, Bruno wrote that whole thing.
That's not your publishing.
Yeah, it's not my publishing. Right. Like he crafted that whole thing. He just needed my performance of that song.
Right, we understand.
Yeah.
People don't. So with that being said, is there anything like, let's just talk about not just 24 karat, but pre Mr. Talkbox. Yes. Let's talk about Byron.
Yes.
Pre-music excellence and performance and writing to popular performance. And what is the mental balancing act that you had? What are some of the tools and tactics you had to use to transition from basic Byron to badass Byron?
Yeah. That's a great question. I do believe that the biggest test comes before our testimony or our big story. And in 2008, I dealt with depression like heavily. And let me tell you what happened. Like I stopped, I didn't have an appetite. I could not sleep at night. Like I literally would sleep 5 to 10 minutes. And I wake up and I'm just, my mind was racing because I felt like I was a failure because I had started doing Mr. Talkbox. This was in 2008. I started doing Talkbox in 2004, and we're in Orlando, Florida. We were in Orlando, Florida at the time. And I began to feel like a failure because everything that I was doing was not, it wasn't working. And it was like, I heard all those negative voices in my mind, like, see, I told you not to do that Talkbox stuff, or don't get on that Talkbox, that you're not, that's not going to work for you. And that's not going to be good for you and your family, blah, blah, blah. I'm hearing all these negative voices. And what I did, here are the practical steps that I did. I talked out every single thought. I would talk to my daughter. I would talk to the dog. I would go to my mama's house. I kept talking, and I didn't realize what I was doing Y'all know I'm a no scripture. Y'all know I'm a Bible head.
Hey. It's all right on today.
Yes. There's a scripture that says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And I didn't realize that as I was talking about my feelings and as I was getting these crazy thoughts out, it was actually freeing my spirit. Like instead of bottling it up, I would talk about it. I would talk, whoever would listen to me, I would talk to them. I would sit sometimes. We were in an apartment in Orlando. I would sit and talk to our dog. And she would just sit there and she was just sitting there. She was just glad to be sitting.
The dog is like, I need to help him get through this. Go ahead, what you gotta say.
Yeah, and you know how pets are. They kind of cock their head from time to time. I said, yeah, I
you know what? Dog was like, okay, you know what? I can kind of see your point.
Yeah. So that was crazy. Like, and I didn't realize that I started getting free from those feelings of anxiety and depression and just that. It was so bad. Like it was so heavy on me. I felt like it was spiritual. I felt like it was physical. I felt like my equilibrium was off. Obviously I wasn't eating. And then I would go jump on I would run on a treadmill, guys, for an hour, 2 hours, just running.
Wow.
My kids crazy. Because I was just trying to run that feeling off.
Yeah.
Like,
that was your escape.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's you're again. We're glad you're sharing your post testimony, because I'm telling you, this is the whole reason we do what we do, because so many people feel alone, and even worse, they look up to and idolize the Take Sixes and the Mr. Talkboxes and the people in life that do the things that they admire. And so to hear someone in their honest transparency share, it literally says, I'm definitely not alone, because that's what you feel. You feel like, man, nobody's going through what I'm going through. And so after a while, I talk about, literally this pressure of societal or social reclusion that has happened to me. And I'm like you, I'm super outgoing. But when so much stress happens, I start to feel like I don't want to even, people are tired of me saying how horrible, what a situation I'm in. You know what I'm saying? So you just shut down. And I do think that's, to me, I've now learned that's nothing but the devil. I'm gonna be totally honest. I think that is the enemy trying to shut you up, because the more you talk and resolve, the more you free others.
Yeah. We had a pastor that said, if you focus on a certain person who's saying something negative to you, you're just focusing on the avatar, because once you get past that person, the devil's going to wear another avatar suit, and that other person's going to be getting on your nerves next. And so we're gonna come back to church after this next break, but we really appreciate that transparency, Mr. Talkbox, Byron, and don't move, you guys. We will be right back with more incredible conversation with Mr. Talkbox.
That's good stuff.
All right. It was actually time for the poll question. So I don't know if I saw that. I don't know if Marla was actually prompted to start doing her little jig, but apparently not. So I'm going to do it.
I'm not doing anything.
I'm going to be voguing it up.
I'm not doing anything. No, I'm not doing it without the Talkbox. Go. Talkbox better come up with something for me to dance to, or I'm not doing it today. I quit. I'm not going to have Talkbox up in my show and me dry dancing. I'm not dry dancing.
This is a little break in the conversation, Byron, so help us out. Last week, we asked the question, how many people worldwide live with a mental health disorder? Your options were 250 million, 500 million, or 1 billion.
Worldwide.
How many people live with that?
250 million. Second number is 500 million. The last one is 1 billion with a B.
How many people worldwide live with a mental health disorder?
1 billion.
Well, you know, when you say with the Talkbox, it happens to be correct. The answer is 1 billion.
Don't
I'm
punch
gonna tell you. Yeah.
Go ahead, Byron. Go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you why I went to that number. Because we are all connected. We are all human. We all experience the same thing. But the word isolation is a big thing too. People are afraid. People are afraid to talk about it because they feel shame. Like, oh, why am I feeling like this? I don't want to tell nobody. And isolation is what takes people out. And I know that as people, we all go through these feelings.
Okay, hold that
Absolutely.
thought.
So now we were talking about the pandemic. So
let's see if you're a star.
Exactly. In 2019, before the pandemic, 11% of U.S. adults were diagnosed with anxiety or depressive disorder. 1 year into the pandemic, that number grew to what percentage? It went from 11% to, was it 25%, 32%, or 40% of people that were dealing with anxiety or depressive disorder? And that's a very good rendition, and we appreciate it. But guess what, Mr. Talkbox?
You're not going to know till next week.
Talkbox, we can't tell you the answer till next week, so you guys come back. And remember, just like Byron was talking about, we got to erase that stigma, you guys. So text the word GIVE, GIVE, to 818-698-1021 and erase the stigma. That's our campaign. We'll be right back.
I love it.
All right, I do believe we actually are back. I got that message from the producer.
Dear Byron, did you think we were going to make it that easy for you? Did you think that Marla and Dave weren't going to have mad tricks up their sleeve? Come on, buddy, you should know better. Come on.
Oh, I do.
I spent a whole week at sea with you and your wife. You should know.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things happened right around 2008 for everybody. That was a hard time for us as well. That whole sort of financial contraction in 2008 was pretty rough. So you know what, Byron, you talked about how you actually, you didn't even know it at the time, but scripture and spirituality was that basis that you used to sort of bring yourself out of a situation that seemed pretty dark, and actually getting that negativity out, speaking it out loud, allowing yourself to actually get that relief was actually fulfilling scripture. So give us, if you had, because we're going to actually continue talking, and then we're going to play the rest of our conversation next week. But for this week, give us just some closing words of wisdom that you can give to a young musician out there who's starting out, who feels
or just
like the way you did, when it didn't seem, it was a time you didn't feel like you were going to have the success that you have now.
Yeah. And Marla, what were you saying too?
I was just going to say, or just to be honest, a person who's struggling with just finding their own light and finding balance.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
What advice can you give us?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say to anyone that's just struggling with, I call it identity crisis. You're struggling with identity. Feels like all your ideas, everything that you're trying to get going, it seems like it's just hard. I want to tell you that one of the main things that I focus on and what helped me was to have the right people around. That will make or break your life, your career, everything that you have going on. I just saw a movie and it really inspired me. It's called Flaming Hot. The guy that did that, and I don't want to give it away.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
What his success, the guy that helped the company, his success was the people around him. That wife was incredible. Those kids were incredible. His employees, the friends that he worked with, they were incredible. He had this amazing idea, and obviously the naysayers were around, the negative voices were around like heavy, but those solid people in his life kept him focused, helped to keep him focused. and boom. And you know what else he did? He prayed to God. And
There you go.
you have those two things, you will make it through anything. You can make it through anything. You talk to God and get around the right people in your life that will empathize with you, will pray with you, will be there for you, and that's what will get you through. And you will find yourself on the other side singing 24 karat magic.
I love it.
All right, Byron, this has been amazing, and there's more amazing to come. So make sure everybody you tune in next week for part 2 with Mr. Talkbox.